Kate and Tareq. How are you today?
Good, thank you.
We're good, thanks.
So if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself.
I'm Kate, and I'm Catholic.
And
I'm Tareq, and I'm Muslim.
okay, great. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions about your religion. First things first, you both were dating for quite some time before you decided to get married. And is it something that you discussed before getting married, the differences in your religion?
We did.
Mm-hmm.
And was it an issue?
No, I think we knew that we fell in love despite it. We anticipated that there might be some challenges, but it wasn't enough to stop us from dating and eventually getting married.
And Tareq, I believe you still practice your religion and still follow a lot of those practices.
Mm-hmm.
And does that affect your day-to-day?
No, I mean it's a thing you grow up with, and it becomes part of your day to day. Just like brushing your teeth or getting ready in the morning. You have your prayer at different times, etc.
And do you go to service still?
Yes, every Friday.
Every Friday. And what time is that?
It's 1 to 2 o'clock.
And so you leave work and go to practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like my lunch break. I take a late lunch break and go to the mosque and do the Friday prayers and congregation.
And you both have a beautiful baby boy, Aiden, correct?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay, so Aiden is now 1 and 4 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 16 months.
Okay, so now that Aiden he's still pretty young, what will you do to share your religions with him?
Well, while we were dating, we agreed that we would raise Aiden primarily as a Muslim, but that we want him to be exposed to Kate's faith as well. And so, we'll be celebrating Easter and Christmas and those types of things, and that's part of his mother's, part of you. But we'll be raising him as a Muslim and teaching him the Muslim traditions and all that.
So,
And I felt that because Tareq was more of a devout Muslim than I was Catholic, that was the fair thing to do.
and so as far as practices, do you eat pork?
No, I don't eat pork. I don't drink. I do the 5 times prayers, and I fast the month of Ramadan. Those are the basics. But the important thing is, like, at least in the case of Catholic and Muslim, people often see the differences, which is like, Muslims don't drink or eat pork. We do the month of fasting, but at its core, both religions are actually are more similar than they are different. And so that's another thing is like, believing in God and in leading a good life and, doing good by yourself and by others and by family and your neighbors, etc. And ultimately, in an afterlife where you're rewarded for leading a good life. And so in that way, they're very compatible. And so, raising Aiden as a Muslim and exposing him to Catholicism is actually it's going to be very easy.
As far as your families, was there any issues when you told your families that you would be marrying outside of your own religion? Was there an issue around that?
No.
Never.
In fact, my uncle is also married to a Catholic.
Oh.
Yeah. And my cousin.
And I was brought up where you find who you're in love with. It doesn't matter. Those things don't matter.
So when will you start teaching Aiden about your religion and maybe having him practice where he's coming to service with you and he's following those guidelines?
I don't know. I don't think I have a specific age per se. I think it's all going to be driven by him, and when he's old enough to understand it and recognize that this is something important to learn and know about. I mean, I already do pray I pray with him around me, and I put my praying carpet out and I start praying, and he loves to play with it, and I have to pick him up as I'm doing my kneeling and whatnot. It's pretty cute. I'd like to, once he's I think old enough to be quiet and still, take him to congregation with me just so he can kind of see what it's like. So I don't know. I don't really have a date in mind. I think it'll be like when I think he's ready for it. Of course, I don't have an age. I think 3, 4, 5. Whenever I feel whenever we feel like he's able to understand what it is and actually absorb it.
Okay. Anything else you'd want to share about the differences or anything that's been interesting based on your interfaith marriage that you want to share?
Well, planning the marriage ceremony was interesting because we wanted to incorporate both religions and traditions, and it was hard finding clergy from both sides that were willing to work together. Kate's cousin is a priest, and we almost had him come and do this, but he couldn't because of... What's that?
That's irrelevant.
Okay, anyway, so...
We're on video.
It is irrelevant. So it was hard finding clergy that were open to working together and doing both a combined Muslim-Catholic wedding, because, you know, when you talk about clergy, they tend to be a little more strict, like, okay, well, if you're married the Catholic way, then how am I marrying it the Muslim way, etc. But we actually got very lucky and found people that work well together.
But in our marriage, there have been no issues, no. You go about your practice, I do my thing, and I celebrate your holidays with you, you celebrate mine, and it all works.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And I wish you the best of happiness for many years to come in your interfaith marriage.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.